Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television is sponsored by Nutrien. Nutrien, feeding the future.
Hello everyone and welcome to Perspective. This is a public affairs presentation of Florida Gateway College. My name is Mike McKee and my guests on the program today represent the Citizens Police Academy at the Lake City Police Department. We have Ashley Crewse, who is the coordinator of public relations for the Lake City Police Department, and we have Tim Emice, who is an alumni of the Citizens Police Academy. We'll talk to both of them about the benefits and how you can participate in the Citizens Police Academy. We'll do that when we come back. Don't go away.
Let us do our job safely. Move over.
We look out for you, so look out for us and move over.
Do your part so we can do our job. Move over.
When you see flashing lights, move over or slow down.
A simple choice could save a life, so move over.
We all have families too, and we just want to get home safely, so move over.
Slow down and move over.
Make the right choice. Move over.
And welcome back to Perspective here on Florida Gateway College Television. How appropriate to have a move over public service announcement with first responders in it. We have someone who represents first responders at the Lake City Police Department, Ashley Crewse. She's the Community Relations Coordinator at the LCPD. And we also have Tim Emice, who is an alumni of the Citizens Police Academy, and that's pretty much the topic of discussion on today's program. Welcome to both of you. You're newbies. This is your first time here on the program.
Yes,
so,
thank you.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. And first of all, Ashley, tell us a little bit about the Citizens Police Academy. This is something that was started a couple years ago?
It was started a few years ago. It is a free 12-week course. It's offered once a week right now on Thursdays. We run the course from 6 to 9 p.m. to allow people to participate that work or go to school and have jobs. It's geared for people 18 and up. It simulates a little bit of what police officers learn in the police academy, and then we also discuss a lot of the inner workings of the police department itself. Okay,
now Tim, you're an alumni. When did you take this course? How long ago did you take it?
4 years ago. The alumni, the classes started 5 years ago.
5 years ago?
Yes.
Now, when you decided to do this, I mean, what attracted you to this thing? Is it just because you always wanted to be a cop, or what was it for you?
Well, I was interested in what the police department actually does, and it was a very rewarding class because it gives you an inside look of what the other side. We always hear the negative side of the police department, and in the CPA we see the actual job that the police do, what it all entails, and all the detail that it really does entail.
Now, when you went through it, what expectation did you have? Did you think it was going to be all shoot 'em up like you see on TV, or did you think it was going to be police brutality, which seems to be a theme in the country? What were you expecting?
I really didn't have any expectations at all. I just kind of floated through it and enjoyed every bit of it because it got into the detail of what the policemen put up with, and on a daily basis. I mean, we all have jobs, but their jobs are a bit different than ours. I mean,
so when you're talking about what they put up with, give me an example. What surprised you? I mean, I'm sure you rode along with the police, and so you got to see firsthand their interaction with the public. Was there something that surprised you about?
Well, what surprised me the most is the detail. It's a certified police department. There's only 43% of the police departments in the state that are certified, and Lake City Police Department happens to be one of them. And the detail of their job, you know, we all have jobs, but they have what they have to do at the office, plus what they do on the street. You know, being among the public citizenry, how they treat the public. It's just amazing to me what they go through and how well they react to it.
Well, give me an example of something you saw that really you were like, wow, that's not what I expected.
Well, to give you an example, just last Sunday at church, we have policemen that watch our parking lots during the services, and we have one gentleman, I'm 6'3", and I know he's taller than I am. He's a K-9 unit officer. And there was two little kids, and the little boy was sitting there very animated talking to the police officer outside. He got out of the car and talked to him. Next thing, his little sister went up there in her little red dress, and he went in the back seat and had something, gave him a badge. And all the way up to the church, the little girl thought she was now a policeman now because she had a badge. And that was Officer Hardison. So that's the nice side you see. And there's really a lot of that you don't really see in the public eye, because the public always shows the negative side, but there's a lot of positive to the police officers.
Well, and I guess in the news business, if it's negative, it leads. Or I guess the old thing, if it bleeds, it leads. If there's an accident, they show that on TV. And so you're saying that there's another side to the police that don't get shown.
Absolutely. They're just like we are. They live in the same neighborhoods we do. Their kids go to the same schools we go to. They go to the same churches we go to. They shop at the same stores we do. And every day they put their vest on, you never know if you're coming home. To me, that's kind of stressful, and that's amazing. It takes a certain kind of individual to be able to do something like that.
Now, Ashley, you're new to your job here as the public information, or not public information, community relations coordinator. Is there something that you, being a new person to this job, that you didn't know about the police department, and now you're like, wow, I didn't know that?
I come from law enforcement. I worked in corrections for a long time, so there's not a lot of it that is surprising to me. But kind of like what Tim was saying, there is a lot of elements that the general public is just not aware of. We see on television and TV dramas that, police are chasing people, they're constantly arresting people, they're doing criminal investigations. There's a lot of stuff that goes on that's not all drama. Yes, we have a traffic enforcement team, and we learn about that in CPA. Yes, we have a DUI enforcement team, and we also learn about that in CPA. But we also have criminal investigations, we have the K-9 unit, we have general operations of the building, the management of the building, the management of the staff, report writing, evidence. Evidence has to be maintained a certain way for a certain amount of time and disposed of, if necessary, properly. So it's a lot to take in when you're just not generally aware of it.
Now, Tim, was there something about paperwork that surprised you in all this? Again, I think TV spoils people, especially with cop shows, where you always see, and it's got to be action-packed in that half an hour. So yeah. They don't show you the hours and hours of paperwork. Did that surprise you, the paperwork that was necessary?
It's amazing how much paperwork they have to do. Everything has to be documented. Give you an example, in the first year, I became president the first year after class of the CPA. And our main goal, what we do as a CPA, we try to do fundraisers to raise funds to help supplement items for the police department that's not within the city budget. And the first year, the Chief Argatha Gilmore asked us if we could help them with a pilot program with body cameras, because they didn't have them. So we bought one for them, and they're very expensive. And then the city, I guess we embarrassed them maybe, and they bought another one, so they did the pilot program. Now all the police officers have body cameras, I'm full in favor of that. I think that's a great idea. Now a lot of departments around the country are doing it. In fact, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office this year is getting body cameras, so we're kind of ahead of the curve. And we do things like that. We've gotten metal detectors for them because they had a shooting a few years ago out on the west side of town. A young man got shot. They were out in the grass trying to find evidence on their hands and knees, and that's not modern technology. So we got them a really good metal detector, and we just do things like that for the police department. And they deserve it.
Now you were talking about, Ashley, you were talking about evidence, and that's part of what this is teaching these students. Tell us about evidence. Why is that important? That I guess it's the custody of the evidence in a court of law, because everything you do winds up in court, right?
Yes, sir. I am not a police officer, so that's most important. I did work in corrections, so there are chains of evidence, kind of like what Tim was talking about. If I find a piece of evidence, it has to be put in the correct bag. It has to be documented on the bag. When I pass it off to the next person, it has to be documented. It has to be documented that that person received it, then so on and so forth. What that person does with that item, if they take it to the evidence technician, and we have one at the Lake City Police Department, his name is Phil. Once the evidence is put into our evidence locker, how long is it being stored? When is it being stored? When is it being taken out? When is it being taken to court? How long is it used in the court proceedings, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, and it's very important. Evidence is very important because it can make or break a case. What kind of evidence are we talking about? I guess the most common evidence would be in a shooting, a gun, right?
Yes, correct.
What other types of evidence are there? Is like a bloody shirt, or I mean,
Absolutely.
It could be all. It could be the shells. I'll give you an example. They had a homicide last month, I guess it was. And I went by Phil's office in the evidence upstairs, and they had 6 boxes filed with cellophane envelopes, individual pieces of evidence, just for that one crime. So they collect anything and everything that's pertinent to the crime scene.
well, and tell us, and I don't know, you learned it, but evidence has to be provided to make a criminal case, and that's basically what you're doing, is making a criminal case for a state attorney, correct?
Absolutely.
Talk about that relationship. You've got now a state attorney that's got this evidence, and they're going to have to make a case against a suspect, and it's all on what the police department gathered. So it's got to be done well through the whole process.
Right. It's a very time-consuming, methodical process to go through. I mean, and Phil is very, very good at it. He was trained by Officer Wendell, and he was very good. He was doing it for quite a few years, and it's a very tedious job. It's not one you just kind of slide through it. Everything's documented. It's very important the officers document everything they do on paper. So that's why I was saying earlier about how much work the officers really do in a 12-hour shift. We see them on the streets. That's the active part of it, but back in the office, there's just a lot that they have to go through to get everything done. For instance, to make a case on a situation that happened, or to make sure the evidence is there, even if it's a traffic stop, that everything was done properly. There's a procedure these are things we learn in the academy too. There's procedures they do when they stop your car that the average citizen is not even aware of.
Well, let's stop on that point right there, Tim, and we'll come back to the other parts of this Citizens Police Academy, including the DUI squad, including the traffic squad, all the things that you learn in this Citizens Police Academy, which is it going on soon?
Starting August 30th. So that is a Thursday. We begin it Thursday, August 30th at 6 p.m. at the police department. If anyone's interested, they just need to give me a call, send me an email.
We're going to have a slide at the end of the program so that people can get more information.
Okay, awesome. That'll work out.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with the folks from the Citizens Police Academy at the Lake City Police Department. Don't go away.
Mosquitoes will bite day and night, so protect yourself with these tips. Keep mosquitoes outside by shutting doors and covering windows with screens. Use EPA-approved insect repellents anytime you're outdoors. Cover your skin with long sleeves and pants. Mosquitoes lay their eggs in water. Just a bottle cap of water is all they need. So drain, refresh, or cover anything around buildings that can hold water at least weekly, and put away outside items that aren't being used. A message from the Florida Department of Health.
Some people call it the Florida State bird, the mosquito. Welcome back to Perspective here on Florida Gateway College Television. My name is Mike McKee, and Ashley Crewse is the coordinator of the Community Relations Department at the Lake City Police Department. Tim Emice is the alumni and also extremely involved in the Citizens Police Academy, and that's what we're talking about today. How old do you have to be? I mean, is there an age limit on, or an age requirement that people
You do have to be at least 18 years old.
18 years old to participate in this, and this because you're an adult
Yes,
and
sir.
you know.
If someone is interested that is under the age of 18, we do have the Police Explorers program, and that's for 14 to 21-year-olds. If anybody's interested in that, they can contact Mike Lee.
Mike Lee's in charge of that. That's mostly through the schools.
We actually do it at the police department, but we recruit a lot of the students from the schools.
Okay. Let's get back to the Citizens Police Academy, and we're talking about the different parts of learning that they go through. And we talked about, Tim, you were talking about traffic stops. What is it about traffic stops that you learned that you didn't know? There's kind of a lot of rules that
Well, I can't
like,
give
don't-
away. I can't give
Well, I
away
know.
all the secrets
Right.
that they do, but there's a certain procedure when they get out of their patrol car that they do, and and you'll see it on TV too occasionally, and you wonder why they're doing it. But they always put their hand on the back of the car. That way, their handprint's on it, and if something happens, it's traceable. Most people don't know that, but that is done. And there's other little secrets they do, and that's kind of the interesting part of the academy is you learn all these inside things, and we can't always disclose what it all is because then you wouldn't come because you already know. But there's a lot of exciting things that go on that most people aren't aware of, and that's what makes it so interesting. And the officers that teach the classes are very animated because they compete with each other to see who's going to be the better teacher. So it's a lot of fun.
Let's go back to that traffic stop. And I think Chief Gilmore was on the program, and I was asking her, what should a citizen know about getting pulled over? I mean, you don't want to reach into something in your car.
No.
When an officer. I mean, there are some things that you probably find out in the police academy about what you should do as a person being pulled over.
Basically, you stay, I mean, they're not going to pull you over just to pull you over. 9 times out of 10, there's a reason they pulled you over. It could be simple. I got stopped a while back because I rolled through a stop sign. And I didn't get a ticket for it, but I did get a ticket because I didn't have my seatbelt on. So just simple things like that, but just stay calm and keep your hands on the steering wheel, roll your window down so the officer can talk to you. If you have to go in your glove compartment, tell them what you're doing. You're reaching over because my license is in there or my registration or whatever. Let them know what you're doing. And I mean, I've been stopped a few times over the years, and if you're polite to them and let them do their job, there's no hassle. But if you start arguing with them, you know, then that's when problems arise.
And so, just so you know, you're looking at these traffic stops even now in a different perspective because of how it could go wrong, right, Tim?
Well, I've always been myself. I mean, I've had a few tickets over the years for dumb things, but I've always been polite and courteous. If you show them respect, they'll show respect back to you 9 times out of 10. That doesn't mean every now and then there isn't an officer that had a bad day. That can happen. That happens to all of us on the job. But I would say the majority of the time, if you respect them, they'll respect you right back.
Well, and again, the officer doesn't know what he's going to find
That's
or
right.
she's going to find. How much of a scary thing is that in this day and age when cops get shot on a regular basis, that now you're pulling somebody over and you don't know what's in the car, you don't know who's in the car, you don't know what they have in the car.
Well, that's my feeling. That's why I said earlier with what you learn in the academy is everything that they do go through, and they get up every morning. We get up in the morning and go to work, and we don't think about things like that. They get up in the morning, and they don't know who they're stopped, who it's going to be. They could pull a gun on them. It's been happening quite often lately, and that's a sad thing that happens. But you never know if you're coming home from work, and to me, that's a scary thing.
Now, Ashley, you told me earlier that you do mock stops, correct?
Yes, sir.
Talk about what you have role players who come in and be the bad guy or see. They give you different scenarios.
Well, when we say Citizens Police Academy, I think a lot of people automatically assume school. And some of our classes are sitting in a classroom, having an instructor, learning about the things that we do at the police department. But we have 3 very interesting elements to this program. The first is a mock traffic incident. So we go outside, we set up a mock traffic incident, and the students learn about all of the processes that the police officers have to go through during a traffic crash. The second one is a mock crime scene, so it includes the little number tents where you have to take pictures and fill out all of the documentation and paperwork. So you do learn about evidence tracking there. And earlier we were talking about the state attorney. The final thing that we do in the class is a mock trial. So we set up a courtroom, we have a full jury, judge, the whole nine.
Tim, talk about the crash. Is there things that you learned about the crash scene that you didn't even think about?
Yes, it's very interesting. They have a crash scene. They have a crime scene investigation also on another night, and you learn how the first responders, what's the priority when they come to a scene, what they do, the procedures, the steps they go through to set up the scene, so to speak. And then if you transfer that over to a crime scene, then we as a class, we all write down what we see as evidence, and we write everything down, and some of us miss things and other people don't, but when we go back to analyze everything, we find out if we miss something. But these are the things that the police do when they go to a crash scene or a crime scene. They have to bag evidence. We learn how to fingerprint. We learn all kinds of things. I mean, it's hard to do it in a little, a short show, but it's fun to do. And it just teaches you the other side of the law enforcement that we don't ever see as a citizen, how thorough and dedicated they are to what they do.
Ashley, how much of the law, I mean, we talk about law enforcement. There are laws on the books called statutes, and they're basically rules, whether it's traffic rules, whether it's rules of assault. It's against the law to hit somebody. How much of the law is part of this academy?
A lot of it is discussed, but most of it falls back to our policies and procedures at the police department, which are all based on law and statute. Fortunately for us, we have the Florida Sunshine Law, so all of that is public information. Anybody can access all of our state, city statutes, all of our laws that we have. It's very wonderful and interesting to be able to look at all of that information. And just to comment on something you mentioned earlier, Mike, perspective is the biggest part of the CPA. It gives students and citizens a chance to put the shoe on the other foot and really see the police officers' lives through new eyes. It's not just someone on TV anymore. This is someone you know now, and you have experienced a lot of the things that they do on a daily basis.
Yeah, and again, there's so much to law enforcement that people are not aware of, in that if someone has broken the law, the job of law enforcement is to make an arrest and then gather evidence to make that case in court, which is the outcome of what happens in all of this. Let's talk about a little bit about a ride-along. Do you guys get to ride with the police officers? And if so, Tim, what was your ride like?
Oh, it was great. I chose the midnight shift, the late night shift, and it was on a Friday night, and I went with Officer Silva, and he was the shift commander that night, and I personally had a great time. I've never done that before, and we were all over town. We did do a couple of traffic stops. Being the shift commander, if there was a call somewhere else, he'd always show up to the call, and some of them I could get out of the car, some of them I couldn't until they told me I could. They go through a lot. I mean, they have a busy night. It's a busy town, and what's kind of unique with the Lake City Police Department, most people don't realize, Lake City itself only has 16,000 to 18,000 people, I believe, population-wise, but the Lake City Police Department also patrols all the way up past the interstate, the mall and that area there, and there's like 40,000 to 60,000 people through there every day that they help police. So their job's a lot more complicated than most people think it is. But the ride-alongs are great, and if you're a CPA member, you're allowed to go on ride-alongs. It's good to do because then you'll learn a little bit more about what happens.
Well, you keep saying CPA, and I keep thinking of someone who keeps
Yeah, CPA,
accounting records. But no, but we're talking about the Citizens Police Academy
Right.
here with Tim Emus, who did a ride along. Did your adrenaline get going?
A little bit sometimes.
Now, so you got to feel like the police officers also have that adrenaline going.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, it keeps you with a little bit of an edge when your adrenaline is going.
Well, I think you have to have, in that kind of job, I think you always have to be aware of your surroundings constantly, because especially in today's time, you just never know where a threat may come from.
Okay. All right, well, we're going to take one more break and then wrap things up and get you all the information you need to do this and sign up for the class, which starts in this month. And we'll do that when we come back. Don't go away. You're watching Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Welcome back to Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television. I forgot to say hello to the listeners on WQHL and WCJX who are with us as well, listening all about the Citizens Police Academy at the Lake City Police Department. Before we get into the details of this next class, Tim, have you become skeptical?
Not a bit.
No?
I'm a very optimistic person.
Are you like skeptical of, say, questioning a suspect and whether they're lying or not? I'm really skeptical that you're telling the truth. I mean, is that?
Well, they even teach you that in one of the classes too. We get to interview a person that's done wrong. No, because and the police, they're trained in that. They train how to read people, and they're not always right. But you know, it's human nature. Some people do lie about things, but in the long run, I think it all comes out in the wash, and the truth is found.
Ashley, you got a guy's fingerprints on a gun, and he shot somebody, and you have eyewitnesses, and they said, I didn't do it. And that would be the only reason I would be skeptical about that.
Right.
But let's talk about, again, the ages. You've got to be 18. You'd like some young folks to be involved in this to kind of get a...
We would. The classes are on Thursday nights, so I know it can conflict with some college schedules, but it would be beneficial to the younger population to come and participate in this program. With all of the antics we have on social media these days, it's ideal to have a different perspective about someone else's life and not just the things that we're being fed on the internet.
How good is this for someone who may consider, I think I want to be a cop? Does this give you kind of a feel for what it's going to be like going through the academy?
It absolutely gives you an idea. It may not have the full-blown effect someone is looking for, but it gives you a general idea, especially completing the program and being able to go on the ride-alongs like Tim. If you're really unsure, that gives you an advantage over someone who has never done the program, because you do have that experience of riding in the police car, of being at a scene of a crime or a call, and having the adrenaline going and kind of knowing how you're going to react to those situations.
Can I interject? We did have a young man in the Explorers that came to the CPA class also and ended up becoming a police department, a Lake City Police Department.
Wow, great.
At a young age, yep.
Okay, Ashley, where do we go to get more information about the Citizens Police Academy?
You can call me at 386-719-5742, or you can send me an email and I can forward you the application. The application does have to be complete in its entirety. It is not short, go ahead and warn everyone, because you do have access to the police department, and upon completion of the CPA, you can come back and visit as a CPA alumni member. So the application gives you clearance.
Okay. Well, again, thank you both for being on the program today, and thank you for watching Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television. Until next time, I'm Mike McKee. So long.